The next time you are standing in the chip aisle at Woolworths or Coles, do me a favor. Pick up 2 bags of chips. Any 2. Flip them over and count the ingredients. The bag with 3 ingredients, potatoes, oil, salt, is a chip. The bag with 22 ingredients, including maltodextrin, disodium inosinate, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, and silicon dioxide, is something else entirely. It looks like a chip. It tastes like a chip. But what is actually in it has more in common with a science experiment than a sliced potato. 2 companies dominate the Australian chip market. PepsiCo, through its subsidiary, the Smith's Snack Food Company, owns Smith's, Red Rock Deli, Doritos, Twisties, and CC's. Intersnack, a German multinational, owns Snack Brands Australia, which makes Kettle, Thins, Cheezels, the Natural Chip Company, and Thomas Chipman. Between them, those 2 companies make the majority of the chips on every shelf you are looking at. The brands look different. The bags look different. The flavors sound different. But when you trace the money, most of it ends up in the same 2 places. One in New York, one in Düsseldorf. Here are 11 potato chip brands sold in Australia you should stop buying, counted down from bad to worst. Number 11. Woolworths and Coles own brand-flavored chips. The supermarket house brand chips are the cheapest in the aisle, and they are not hiding anything, you just have to read the back. The flavored varieties, sour cream and onion, barbecue, chicken, contain flavor enhancers including MSG and disodium ribonucleotides, along with sugar, vegetable oil, maltodextrin, and milk solids. A standard serve delivers between 400 and 600 milligrams of sodium per 100 grams. The chips are manufactured by third-party contractors to a supermarket specification designed around price, not ingredients. The plain salted versions are actually fine. Most contain just potato, vegetable oil, and salt. But the moment you move into the flavored range, the ingredient list doubles or triples. The flavor is where the additives live. Number 10. Cheezels. Cheezels are a childhood favorite. The ring shape, the orange cheese dust, the way you put them on your fingers before eating them. But Cheezels are not really a chip in any traditional sense. They are extruded from corn flour, coated in a cheese-flavored seasoning, and fried. The ingredient list includes vegetable oil, sugar, maltodextrin, cheese powder, flavor enhancers, colors, and acidity regulators. The sodium content is high, over 700 milligrams per 100 grams in some variants. Cheezels are made by Snack Brands Australia, which was owned by the Philippines-based Universal Robina Corporation before being sold to Intersnack, a German multinational. The factory at Blacktown in Western Sydney closed in early 2025, and the Smithfield factory was scheduled to close later that year, consolidating all manufacturing to Orchard Hills. If the factory closures and the corporate ownership changes do not bother you, the ingredient list should. There is more seasoning engineering in a Cheezel than there is actual cheese. Number 9. CC's Original Corn Chips. CC's are owned by PepsiCo through Smith's. They are corn-based, not potato-based, and the original flavor contains corn, vegetable oil, and salt, which sounds simple. But move into any flavor variant, and you are looking at flavor enhancers, artificial colors, sugar, and maltodextrin. The sodium across the CC's range is consistently high, and because CC's are typically eaten with dip, the sodium from the chip plus the sodium from the dip can push a single sitting well past 1,000 milligrams. Nobody eats CC's without dip. So the real sodium intake is always higher than what the nutrition panel on the chip bag alone suggests. Number 8. Doritos. Doritos are one of PepsiCo's biggest global brands. In Australia, they are manufactured by Smith's. The ingredient list on a bag of Doritos Cheese Supreme includes corn, vegetable oil, sugar, cheese powder, onion powder, garlic powder, flavor enhancers 621 and 635, colors 110 and 160B, and maltodextrin. Color 110 is sunset yellow, a synthetic dye that the U requires to carry a warning label stating it may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. In Australia, no such warning is required. The same dye, the same product, different continents, different rules. The sodium content sits around 600 to 800 milligrams per 100 grams, depending on the flavour. And the serving size printed on the bag, 25 grams, is about 12 chips. Nobody eats 12 Doritos. The serving size is there to make the nutrition panel look manageable. The actual consumption is 2 to 3 times that. Number 7. Pringles. Pringles are not potato chips. They are manufactured from a dough made of dehydrated potato flakes, wheat starch, cornstarch, and rice flour, pressed into a uniform saddle shape and fried. In the UK, Pringles were actually ruled by a court to not be a potato crisp for tax purposes because the potato content was too low. The company argued successfully that the product was sufficiently different from a real potato chip to avoid the tax, then continued marketing it as one. Pringles were previously owned by Procter & Gamble, then sold to Kellogg's, which became Kellanova, which was bought by Mars Incorporated in 2025 for $36 billion. So the same candy company that now owns Fruit Loops and Cocoa Pops also owns Pringles. The ingredient list on a tube of Pringles Original includes dehydrated potatoes, vegetable oil, rice flour, wheat starch, maltodextrin emulsifier, and dextrose. The flavoured varieties add misc, disodium inosinate, and various artificial flavourings. A real chip has 3 ingredients. Pringles have 12. And a candy company is selling them as a potato product. Number 6. Thins. Thins have been part of the Australian chip landscape for decades. The light, thin cut and distinctive flavours, light and tangy being the most iconic, have made them a barbecue and party staple. Made by Snack Brands Australia, now owned by Intersnack. The Smithfield factory where Thins were manufactured was scheduled for closure in late 2025, with production being consolidated to the Orchard Hills site. The light and tangy flavour, the one that made the brand famous, contains flavour enhancers 621, 627, and 631, along with sugar, maltodextrin, onion powder, and citric acid. The combination of flavour enhancers 627 and 631 with 6221 is known in the food industry as a supercharge system. It amplifies the savoury taste beyond what any single additive can achieve alone. That amplified flavour is what makes Thins moreish. It is not the potato. It is the flavour chemistry on the surface. You are eating a delivery system for flavour enhancers that happens to be shaped like a chip. Number 5. Twisties. Twisties are not chips at all. They are extruded corn snacks, corn flour forced through a mould, fried, and coated in a cheese-flavoured seasoning. The ingredient list includes corn, vegetable oil, cheese powder, sugar, salt, flavour enhancers, colour, and wheat derivatives. The sodium exceeds 800 milligrams per 100 grams in the original cheese flavour. Twisties are owned by PepsiCo through Smiths and manufactured at the Adelaide Regency Park factory. The product has been reformulated multiple times over the decades, and long time fans regularly complain that the flavour has changed. That is what happens when a product is managed by a multinational. The recipe is optimized for cost and consistency, not for the taste you remember. The Twisty your parents ate is not the Twisty you are eating now. The name is the same. The formulation has been adjusted to hit a margin target, not a flavour memory. Number 4. Smith's Thinly Cut. Smith's Thinly Cut is positioned as a lighter, more sophisticated chip. The thinner cut implies moderation. The packaging feels more premium than the standard crinkle cut. But the nutrition panel tells you the thinner cut does not mean less fat or less sodium. In fact, because the chips are thinner, they have more surface area per gram, which means more oil absorption during frying and more seasoning per chip. The flavoured varieties, salt and vinegar, sour cream and onion, contain the same suite of flavor enhancers, maltodextrin, and sugar as the crinkle cut range. The sodium content is comparable. The fat content is comparable. The only thing that has changed is the shape. You are eating the same product in a different format, paying a premium for the perception of restraint. The thinness is a design decision, not a health decision. Number 3. Smith's Sensations. Sensations is Smith's premium flavored range. Lime and cracked pepper, roasted chicken with herbs, vintage cheddar and onion. The flavors are more complex, the packaging is darker and more adult, and the price point is higher. And the ingredient lists are the longest of any Smith's product. Some Sensations flavors contain over 20 ingredients, including flavor enhancers 621, 627, and 631, sugar, maltodextrin, vegetable powders, milk solids, colors, and acidity regulators. The sodium content in some Sensations flavors exceeds 700 milligrams per 100 grams. You are paying more for a chip that has more additives, not fewer. The premium positioning implies a premium product. What you are actually getting is a more heavily engineered product with a fancier bag. Number 2. Red Rock Deli. Red Rock Deli is the brand that convinced a generation of Australians that they were eating a better chip. The packaging is black and gold. The flavors sound like a restaurant menu: honey soy chicken, lime and black pepper, sweet chili and sour cream. The price per gram is among the highest in the chip aisle. And it is all PepsiCo. Red Rock Deli is made by Smith's, which is owned by PepsiCo, the same company that makes Doritos, Twisties, CC's, and the standard Smith's crinkle cut range. The same factory, the same corporate structure, different bag. The ingredient lists on the flavored Red Rock Deli varieties are just as long as the Smith's Sensations range. The flavor enhancers are the same. The maltodextrin is the same. The sodium content is comparable. What changes is the packaging and the price. When you pay $5.50 for a 165-gram bag of Red Rock Deli instead of $3.50 for a similar-sized bag of Smith's Crinkle Cut, the extra $2 is not buying you better ingredients. It is buying you a brand that feels premium. And that feeling was designed in a PepsiCo marketing office, not in a different kitchen. Number 1. Smith's Crinkle Cut flavored range. Smith's is the most sold chip brand in Australia and has been since the company was founded in 1931. PepsiCo has owned it since 1998. The classic Crinkle Cut in its simplest form, original, contains 3 ingredients: potatoes, vegetable oil, and salt. That is a real chip, but the original represents a shrinking fraction of what Smith's actually sells. The volume is in the flavored range: salt and vinegar, barbecue, cheese and onion, chicken, and every flavored variety adds a layer of processing that the original does not carry. Flavor enhancers 621, 627, and 631 appear across the range. Sugar appears in almost every flavor. Maltodextrin appears in all of them. Milk solids, onion powder, garlic powder, colors, and acidity regulators make up the rest. The sodium content in the flavored Crinkle Cut range sits between 500 and 800 milligrams per 100 grams, depending on the flavor. Salt and vinegar is the highest. A 150-gram bag, the size most people eat in one sitting while watching television, can deliver over 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That is half your daily allowance. From a bag of chips. Smith's is number 1 on this list because it is the brand that defines the category in Australia. Where Smith's goes, the industry follows. When Smith's normalizes 20-ingredient flavored chips as the standard, every other brand builds to the same specification. The problem is not that Smith's makes bad chips. The problem is that Smith's makes the template that the entire Australian chip aisle copies. And that template is built on flavor enhancers, sugar, and sodium. Here is what ties all 11 entries together. The Australian chip market is controlled by two multinational companies. PepsiCo owns Smith's, Red Rock Deli, Doritos, CC's, and Twisties. Intersnack owns Kettle, Thins, Cheezels, the Natural Chip Company, and Thomas Chipman. Between them, they dominate the shelf. The brands compete with each other on flavor and packaging, but the ownership structure means the competition is mostly cosmetic. PepsiCo spent $18 million installing a new production line at its Adelaide factory. Intersnack closed 2 of its 3 Australian factories in 2025. The scale of these operations is industrial. The ingredients reflect that scale. And the only way to opt out of the system is to read the back of the bag before you read the front. Here are 5 chips and snacks worth buying instead. Number 5. Any plain salted chip with 3 ingredients or fewer. This is the simplest rule in the entire script. Turn the bag over. If the ingredient list says potatoes, oil, and salt, and nothing else, you are eating an actual chip. Smith's Original Crinkle Cut qualifies. Kettle Original Sea Salt qualifies. Even some supermarket-owned brand plain salted chips qualify. 3 ingredients. That is the benchmark. Everything above 3 is flavor engineering, and the more ingredients on the list, the further the product has moved from a sliced potato fried in oil. Number 4. Natural Chip Company Sea Salt. The Natural Chip Company is owned by Intersnack through Snack Brands, so the ownership is not independent. But the formulation is genuinely simpler than most flavored chips. The sea salt variety contains potato, sunflower oil, and sea salt. Some of their vegetable chip range uses beetroot, sweet potato, and parsnip with minimal seasoning. It is not perfect. Some flavored variants still contain flavor enhancers, but if you are looking for a mainstream supermarket chip with a shorter ingredient list, the Natural Chip Company's plain range is one of the better options widely available at Woolworths and Coles. Number 3. Kettle Original Sea Salt. Kettle chips are batch cooked rather than continuously fried, which gives them a thicker crunch and a more roasted flavor. The original sea salt contains 3 ingredients: Australian potatoes, sunflower oil, and sea salt. No flavor enhancers, no maltodextrin, no sugar, no colors. Kettle is owned by Intersnack, so the money still flows to a German multinational. But the product itself, in its original salted form, is what a chip is supposed to be. Available at all major retailers, around $4.50 to $5 for 175 grams. Number 2. Cobb's Popped Chips Sea Salt. Cobb's is an Australian-owned company based in Dandenong, South Victoria. They started with popcorn and expanded into chips, corn puffs, and ancient grain snacks. The popped chip sea salt variety is made from potato starch, sunflower oil, sea salt, and rice flour, popped rather than fried, which reduces the fat content. No artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. The sodium is lower than most fried chips. Cobb's is not a subsidiary of PepsiCo or Intersnack. It is independently owned and manufactured in Australia. When you buy Cobb's, the money stays with an Australian company making snacks in Victoria. Available at Woolworths, Coles, and independent retailers nationally. Number 1. Cobb's Natural Popcorn, lightly salted, slightly sweet. Alright, this is popcorn, not a chip. But if the goal is a snack that satisfies the crunch craving without the flavor enhancers, the sodium bomb, and the 20 ingredient list, this is the best option in the snack aisle. Cobb's Natural Popcorn contains 3 ingredients: corn, raw sugar, and sea salt. That is it. It is air-popped, which means less fat than fried chips. The sodium per 100 grams is a fraction of what you find in a bag of Smith's. It is certified by the Heart Foundation. It is gluten-free. And it is made in Dandenong South by an Australian-owned company. A 120-gram bag costs around $3.50. The crunch is real, the flavor is real, and the ingredient list fits on one line. 2 questions. 2 seconds. Every time you pick up a bag of chips. 1. How many ingredients are on the list? If the number is 3 or 4, you are eating a chip. If the number is 15 or 20, you are eating a flavor delivery system manufactured at industrial scale with additives you would never put in your own kitchen. 2. Are flavor enhancers 621, 627, or 631 on the list? If they are, the chip has been engineered to taste more savory than a sliced potato naturally would. That amplified flavor is what makes you eat the whole bag instead of a handful. It is not an accident. It is a design feature. And it is in almost every flavored chip on the Australian shelf. The chip aisle is one of the most heavily branded sections in the supermarket. Black bags for premium, bright bags for fun, footy sponsorships, celebrity endorsements. But behind all of it, 2 companies own most of what you are looking at. The flavored ranges are built on the same suite of additives, and the only chips that actually contain what you think a chip should contain, potato, oil, salt, are the plain ones that nobody markets because there is nothing to market. A chip with 3 ingredients does not need a celebrity. It does not need a footy team logo. It just needs to be what it says it is. And the best snack in the aisle might not even be a chip at all. It might be a $3.50 bag of popcorn with 3 ingredients made by an Australian company in a factory in Melbourne. That is the standard. Everything else is engineering. Which chip on this list surprised you most? Drop it in the comments. And if someone you know still grabs the same bag every week without flipping it over, share this with them. They deserve to know what the back of the bag is not telling them. Subscribe if you want to see what we pull apart next. I will see you in the next one.